Larry, hello. And this could be fun. I'm only going to take a few minutes of your time, but I'm going to explore and evaluate why what you do is so valuable to so many people and why it's an integral part of the CEO warrior system and process, and why it is a function that helps service people who are members take themselves from wherever they are to much higher levels, quicker, safer, and much more happily and prosperously. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
First of all, in what you do as an advisor, what do you see the most critical single role, function, responsibility you have as being?
As being an advisor talking to our clients, I think my number one role is to help them succeed, help them grow, whether it's in profits or in growth of revenue, help them make decisions that they may not make the right ones or having a hard time making.
And without getting too granular, what are certain kinds of decisions that the people that you advise can get hung up on? And why do they get hung up? And what happens when you help them through it?
Okay, I can give you, for instance, we had one of our clients that is growing his business, and he's looking to hire someone to help him.
Okay.
So he was talking about maybe hiring an operations manager, but after talking with him, he really didn't need an operations manager. He needed a department manager.
Okay.
So
big difference.
It is, difference in skill sets, right?
Yes. And also in the scope of responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so when you was this the byproduct of a lot of you asking questions and also helping him come to the discovery or realization himself?
Yes, and just by me asking questions, he started talking through this himself.
Yes.
And then he realized, if you wouldn't have told me that or asked me the questions, I would have never got to the point that I am today.
And let's look at scenario-based probability and outcome. Had he made the wrong decision, what could have happened?
Well, by putting a more overqualified person
Right.
in, and his technicians really needed somebody to go to, as hiring an operations type manager, that person or a director, that person manages managers,
Yes.
right? He doesn't manage field people. So that would have been
could have been disastrous because that person wouldn't have provided what you decided and what you discovered was needed.
Absolutely.
Tell me a couple other things like that happen in the course, because we talked to Denise more in the macro sense, but I'd love to just hear a couple of the day-to-day discoveries, challenges, realizations, ahas, epiphanies that you help these people have.
So another thing that we talk to a lot of our warriors about, especially new warriors that's coming in, is how to price their product.
They don't really have a good model?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Not coming in. Now, after we talk to them, and we're talking to them about a sold hour tool, and then from that into an investment page,
yes,
they understand it then. But before that, it's like a whim and a prayer.
They're just arbitrary, whatever they think.
Right.
And then when they got when they get a context of how to price it, it changes everything.
Yes.
And can you see, with that awareness, the business start to really take off?
Absolutely. And, with that, with the pricing or the how we show them how to price, a lot of times the people didn't understand their numbers, so they really wouldn't see it until the peak season went away, not as many calls,
yes,
and no money in the bank.
Yes, that's very interesting, because it is a seasonal, or many of the dimensions of the services that you work with have seasonality and cyclicality to them, don't they?
It does. But that's another thing that we talk to our clients about, is how to get away from that seasonality.
That's great. And what are some areas that you focus on to help them level out the whole revenue system?
It could be bringing in another profit center.
Good.
So like an HVAC or air conditioning,
right,
that's a summertime
right,
or a really heavy winter time, right? But if you brought in plumbing, that could go in between the peaks and valleys.
And then do you help guide them on how to integrate some of those new profit centers?
Yes, we do.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Now, on a Monday morning, after a refreshing, easy weekend with your family or whatever you've done, when you come to work, what are you thinking about what your goal is for this week? What do you see yourself as being, doing, and the role that you function as?
You know, hopefully the week before that, I'd already scheduled out my week.
So you already have it carefully appointed.
Right. So I get to go in and I take a look at the client that I'm going to coach.
Okay.
And, you know, the other coaching that we have done with them to see where they're at. And if they had any kind of action items that we need to talk about and put a date on it or a due date to see if they had it completion or not.
Good. Do you see that having what I would call respectful accountability makes a profound difference in how well they progress, achieve, and how much faster they accomplish things?
It does. I'm going to say that most of our clients that comes in, they're looking for accountability.
I think we all are deep down. I think it's interesting that the majority of people left to their own devices don't always move forward at the pace they can. They don't always reach for the heights they could. They don't always make the safest and best decisions they could, first, second, third. And if you're a sounding board, if you're a voice of reason, if you're a reality check, I think that's got to be valuable.
It is. You know, when we're talking to some of our clients, we help them put together plans. Now they can work their plans to reach their target, or before maybe they didn't have a plan.
Most people don't have
You're
a
right.
plan. Now, you know that you're being polite. The almost near certainty is they had either a fragmented plan or a dysfunctional plan or a napkin plan,
Yes.
right? They didn't
Right.
have an integrated plan, and that's got to be wonderful. Do you feel that you are in a role that you're making differences in people's lives?
This is what I love to do. So yes, I do.
And do you see a lot of what would I call it? A lot of validation by watching these people grow, and not just grow financially, although I'm sure that that's really important, but seeing them grow as human beings and grow as balanced lives, and see their personal lives more satisfying and successful, and all those kind of things?
Yeah, you know, when you're talking to someone over the telephone and you're coaching there, and then finally maybe it's a month or two later, or maybe a little longer, you see them at an event, and then you get to talk to them face to face at the event and what all they've accomplished or what their wins were. That's what makes you feel good.
And do they smile when they meet you?
Oh, absolutely.
That's great. Do you feel that having what I will call an accountability advisor is important in the growth of somebody's small, medium-sized business?
I believe it is. So when my wife and I had our first business,
Okay.
we had a coach at the time. And it turned out that our coach ended up being our mentor.
Really?
So it really was a great help, because our mentor at that time, there was a lot of other people that was within the group, and we got to network with these people. They wasn't in our service area, so they would, you know, come forth with any kind of
They had
information.
you weren't a threat.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's got to be a lot of what occurs here with this organization. You get collaborative contribution from so many different people who have already gone where you're going, or are bringing in different parts of the puzzle that you don't have, or different profit centers.
Yes.
Got to be exciting, and you get to feed them all in. It's obvious that you enjoy it,
I do.
and it's obvious that they enjoy you and appreciate you, because I've seen them talking to you out in the offices. And is this something that at the end of the day you feel, wow, I've made a profound impact on people?
You know, I think I feel that after every call or every conversation that I have with someone.
That's great. I've enjoyed you, and I can tell that you're making a difference, and it's making you better for it as well. So thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.